special family, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Autism Mom. On this channel we talk about autism and everything in between. If you'd like to be part of this awesome family, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Girl, it's free. The title of today's video: doesn't look like he needs an ambulance. 17-year-old Boston student has a stroke in class. School nurse argues with his mom to pick him up while having a stroke instead of calling 911. Let that sink in real quick, shall we? Let's get to the video. Okay, family, this is the article I was talking about. The title is, doesn't look like he needs an ambulance. 17-year-old Boston student has a stroke in class. The school nurse argues with his mom to pick him up instead of calling 911.
Mother from Mattapan is demanding answers tonight from the Boston Public Schools. Now, she says her son was having a stroke at school, and instead of calling 911, they called her to come pick him up. I'm Paula Evans.
I'm Lisa Hughes. Her son eventually got the help that he needed, but as WBZ's Ania Maldonado shows us, the mother's fight is just starting.
DeAndre Hicks is a 17-year-old junior here at the Henderson Upper School in Dorchester.
In the situation, I do feel kind of like I was let down a little bit.
The situation, he suffered a stroke while in class last week. His mother, Alicia Hicks, says the school called for her to come pick up DeAndre, but Hicks repeatedly asked them to dial 911.
He's going to die if he's stroking. It's taking too long to dial 911.
Hicks says once the nurse described how her son was feeling,
Then he came to the nurse's office to report that he was feeling weak, shaky, and that he felt numb, weakness on his left side.
she immediately was concerned he had a stroke and knew because she uses a wheelchair, 911 could get him help faster, which is why she's frustrated school officials put off calling for help.
She said, well, but my medical evaluation, it doesn't look like he needs an ambulance. Somebody should come pick him up.
Hicks says after more than 30 minutes, the school called for an ambulance. Her son was treated at Tufts Medical Center for an acute ischemic stroke. She's speaking out because she believes the situation could have been a lot worse.
Even I know the symptoms of a stroke. Why didn't the nurse? So that's what I would want the school department to emphasize on better training.
Boston Public Schools did release a statement reading, "Our concern is first with the health and well-being of this student. We are glad to hear he is recovering well. This serious incident is being reviewed by appropriate BPS staff, and therefore it would be inappropriate to comment further on this specific matter."
Alicia tells us Boston School Superintendent Brenda Cassellius called her with a apology, stressing the district is looking further into the incident. In Dorchester, Ania Maldonado, WBZ News.
So, a 17-year-old Boston high school student suffered a stroke while in class but did not receive the medical assistance he needed after officials called his mother instead of 911. So, as a nurse, you should know the signs and symptoms of a stroke. So, failure 1. And if there's any medical emergency, you call 911 before you call the parents. Anybody could tell you that. You don't have to be a nurse. The teen's mother, who is wheelchair bound, let's keep that in mind, wheelchair bound, is furious, asking why the school nurse did not recognize the signs of his health failing when the boy complained about feeling tired and his side felt numb. Another sign of having a stroke is the left or the right side of the person will start feeling numb and they'll feel kind of faint. DeAndre Hicks, a junior at the Henderson Inclusion Upper School in Dorchester, Mass., became ill while under the school supervision in early May 2022. After telling his school nurse he felt weak, shaky, and numb, she called his mother, Alicia Hicks, to pick him up from the school, ignoring the signs suggesting the boy was having a stroke, and the mother's request to get more immediate assistance for her child. So here are the 3 signs: weak, shaky, and numb. He came to the nurse's office to report that he was feeling weak, shaky, and that he felt numb weakness on his left side, the mother said. She recalled telling the nurse he's going to die if he's stroking. They're taking too long to dial 911. So even the mom knew the symptoms of a stroke, and the school nurse didn't. Or did she not want to know that it was a stroke? Maybe she thought he was just going to lie about feeling numb and faint and weak. Alicia argues the school top medical professionals should have considered first responders who would have gotten to the boy first, noting her proximity to the school and inability to move fast because she is confined to a wheelchair. She has a point. The school should have contacted first responders before contacting her. And she's wheelchair bound. How fast can she get there? Instead, the nurse told the mom, well, my medical evaluation, it doesn't look like he needs an ambulance. Somebody should pick him up. Honey, where did you go to school? Where did you go to nursing school? They need to take your license. You're a danger to society. Like, you don't know the simple signs of stroke and you're a nurse? This doesn't even make sense, because now it's starting to feel like prejudice, but it's my opinion. Eventually, the school called 911, who arrived 30 to 45 minutes later. When you have a blockage, 30 to 40, every minute plays a role. 30 to 45 minutes plays a role. After the initial call to the mother, despite the teen remaining in crisis, the call was made after the school reached out to the Department of Children and Families because the mom didn't come immediately. You could hear the other one in the background, Alicia recalled. The other nurse said to call DCF. Holy smoke. Are y'all hearing this? So because the mom couldn't get there immediately, she's wheelchair bound, she's telling you to call 911 because they can get there faster than her, you gonna call DCF on the mom because she can't get there? So now you're getting child services involved and the child is having a stroke. So you have time to call child services, but you don't have time to call 911. Make it make sense. Once an ambulance showed up, the young man was taken to Tufts Medical Center, where he was diagnosed as having an acute ischemic stroke. The doctor stopped the stroke using medication, but kept the child for 2 days. But your medical expertise said that he didn't need an ambulance. You don't think he was having a stroke, and the mom should pick him up, huh? I will be suing the pants out of them. The mother knew it all along, saying, even I know the symptoms of a stroke. Thank you. Why didn't the nurse? Exactly. Boston 25 News reports Alicia herself has had 3 strokes in her life. She further explained her family has a history of strokes, so she knew exactly that it was a stroke. Listen, there's a small vessel problem on my mother's side of the family that caused a stroke easily. If there's any blockage in it, so important to get him to the hospital right away because he could die, she shared. Your professional eye may not see the stroke, Alicia said, as she tried to communicate. It is not visible, but if he's telling you he's weak on his left side, please, at this point, I'm pleading with all intensity that I can muster up with no voice. Please get my son to the hospital, please. Imagine being Alicia on the other side, and a school nurse is telling you your child is having these symptoms, and you know that stroke runs in your family, and you're telling her it runs in my family, this is what it could be, and the school nurse gets the phone and pretty much tells you, you don't know what you're talking about. This is my medical expertise. He lying. He ain't got no stroke. You can come pick him up or I'm calling DCF. So you put in a child case service case against me and my child is dying in your care. DeAndre said they start arguing with her on that while I'm out here stroking on the bed right now trying to stay up. I was afraid that if I fell asleep or something like that, I was going to go into a coma or probably for the worse. Boy, you are so right. His mother says he's not happy about the school right now. He doesn't feel safe there. Nobody would. His words when he was in the hospital, he said, Mom, I can't believe they didn't believe me. No, they didn't. Boston School Superintendent Brenda Casillas personally reached out to the mother to apologize, Alicia shared. Casillas told her the district is already reviewing the incident. You know what, Miss Casillas? That's not enough, because apparently this has happened before for your school nurse to say she gonna call DCF when a child is having a stroke. I'm pretty sure there are other incidents that occurred, but this one, she got caught in the act. So now you investigate in the incident. Okay. In a statement released by the Boston Public Schools, officials wanted to make clear their first concern is first with the health and well-being of the student. Really? Let's review that in what we read. Child comes to nurse office, tell nurse weakness on the left side, short of breath or dizzy, faint. Nurse says, not true. Her medical expertise think he needs to go home. Mom says, stroke runs in my family. Call 911. Nurse calls DCF instead. This is the well-being of this student, ain't it? We are glad to hear he is recovering well. It continuing apart. Are you? This serious incident is being reviewed by appropriate BPS staff, and therefore it would be inappropriate to comment further on this specific matter, I bet. While the mother acknowledged the superintendent's outreach, she could not help but think race played a part in the school response. I think it's the nurse. I don't necessarily think it's race. I think it's the nurse. She is not well informed. Her thoughts about race and medical care are in line with a recent study put out by the American Bar Associate about implicit bias and racial disparities in healthcare. I know that is a thing. I had a study on it. That is a thing, and I get it. But I think in this case, it's the nurse. They claim black people simply are not receiving the same quality of healthcare that their white counterparts receive. Her son is evidence of this. It could be. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know the people, but it could be. But from reading the story, I kind of conclude that it's the nurse and her misinformed self, not properly trained. But it could be. I mean, she might have a point. The school also released a statement to the student body families, informing them about the paramedics coming to the campus. Instead of referencing DeAndre's plight, they shared with the parents that paramedics were called to support a student having a diabetic episode. You see, now y'all want to make me take back my statement, because now I want to think it's race. So you now you want to inform them about the ambulance, but minimize his stroke to a diabetic episode? Neither the school nor DCF released a public statement but have confirmed the Hicks incident is being investigated. No word on if the family will be filing civil rights lawsuit alleging his rights were violated. They were definitely violated. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Please put in the comment, if you were the mom and this was happening to you, what would your reaction be? How would you handle this situation? Because I felt like I would be losing my top and my child would be out of that school as soon as possible and somebody was getting sued. So let me know in the comments what you think about this situation and how you would have handled it if this was your child. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.